The hidden struggles of serving. Sometimes we do everything right, and it still doesn't work. We follow the instructions, we show up, we try to be faithful in what's in front of us, and still, the outcome we hoped for never comes. No visible result, no clear impact, no explanation we can point to and say, that's why. Other times, we step in with good intentions, trying to help, only to realize later that what we did made things worse. And then there are moments we don't like to talk about. Moments where we understand exactly what we're doing and choose it anyway. There's a servant in Scripture who lived through all three of those moments, not as an outsider, not as someone opposed to God, but as someone who stood close to the work and over time revealed what was happening within. His name was Gehazi. He served alongside the prophet Elisha. He wasn't distant from what God was doing. He stood near it. He witnessed moments others would only hear about later. When something needed to be done, Gehazi was often the one sent. There is no indication at the beginning that something was wrong with him. If anything, his life looks familiar to us. He showed up, he served, he stayed close, and then one day he was given a task that would test something deeper than simple obedience. A woman's son had died, and Elisha placed his staff in Gehazi's hand and sent him ahead. The instruction was clear: go to the child, lay the staff on him, and do not delay. Gehazi went. He followed the instruction as it was given. He entered the room, approached the child, and laid the staff across the boy's face. And then he waited, but there was no sound or sign of life. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 31. Nothing happened. He had done exactly what he was told to do, and still the outcome did not come. When Elisha later arrived, he entered the room, prayed, and the child was restored. It's a quiet moment, but it carries weight. Sometimes we do everything right and still do not see the result we hoped for, not because we failed, not because we lacked effort, but because the outcome was never ours to produce. And sometimes someone else steps into the same situation, and they are the one through whom the result comes. Not long after, during a time of famine, Gehazi was again involved in serving those around him. A large pot of stew was being prepared for the prophets. Food was scarce, and what they gathered mattered. Gehazi went out into the field to find something that could be added to the meal. He found wild gourds, gathered them, and brought them back. He sliced them into the pot along with the rest. At first, nothing seemed wrong, but as the men began to eat, they cried out, "O man of God, there is death in the pot." 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 40. What had been added, though gathered with the intent to help, had made the entire meal dangerous. Gehazi had not acted out of rebellion. He had not set out to harm anyone. He was trying to contribute, trying to serve in a moment of need. But what he added brought harm instead of help. Once again, Elisha stepped in and made it right. That kind of moment stays with us, because sometimes we mean well and still get it wrong. Sometimes we act with good intentions, and the outcome still carries consequences we never meant to cause. Up to this point, Gehazi's life can be understood through the lens of human limitation. A servant doing what he can, navigating responsibility, learning as he goes. And then, the story shifts. Naaman, a commander from Aram, comes seeking healing from leprosy. Through Elisha, God restores him. His skin is made clean. His life is changed. So he returned to the man of God, he and all his company. He stood before him and said, "Behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel." 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 15. In response, Naaman offers gifts, silver, garments, wealth meant to express gratitude for what has taken place. Elisha refuses, but he said, "As the Lord lives, before whom I stand, I will receive none." 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 16. Gehazi is there when this happens. He hears the offer, he sees what is being turned away, and something begins to take shape within him. After Naaman departs, Gehazi makes a decision. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, "As the Lord lives, my master has spared this Naaman. I will run after him and get something from him." 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 20. He leaves and goes after him. He catches up to Naaman's company and calls out to be received. When Naaman stops, Gehazi presents a story. He explains that visitors have arrived unexpectedly, that there is a need, and that the gifts which had been refused earlier can now be accepted. It sounds reasonable. It sounds justifiable. Naaman responds generously, and he urged him to take 2 talents. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 23. Gehazi takes it. He brings it back, hides it away, and returns as though nothing has happened. But when he came and stood before his master, Elisha said to him, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" And he said, "Your servant went nowhere." 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 25. This moment is different. Everything before this could be explained through limitation or misunderstanding, but this cannot. This is not a mistake made while trying to help. This is a choice. And what he thought was hidden was not hidden at all. Did not my heart go when the man turned from his chariot to meet you? 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 26. The consequence is immediate. Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 27. What had been internal is now visible. There is a difference between the moments we walk through in life. There are times we do everything right and things still do not work out. There are times we make honest mistakes and others feel the weight of them. And then there are times we choose something we know we should not. If we blur those together, we either become discouraged when things do not work, or we excuse what should be taken seriously. Gehazi's life shows us all three. And then later, he appears again. He is standing before the king of Israel, recounting the works of Elisha. He tells the stories of what he had seen, describing the moments when God moved in ways that changed lives. And as he was telling the king how Elisha had restored the dead to life, 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 5, he remembers it all. He was there when it happened, but now he stands outside of it, speaking about what used to be. And this is where the story quietly presses on us. Because a life like this does not unravel all at once. It looks like doing what is right and feeling the weight when nothing comes of it. It looks like trying to help and realizing later that what we added brought harm. It looks like small moments where we begin to justify what we want, telling ourselves it makes sense, that it is reasonable, that no one will know. And over time, those moments are not isolated. They begin to form something within us. As you sit with this teaching today, take a moment to reflect on where these moments have met us in our own lives. Have there been times when we did what was right, stayed faithful to what was in front of us, and still watched the outcome fall short of what we hoped for? Moments where someone else stepped into the same space and saw what we did not. Have there been times when we stepped in with good intentions, trying to help, only to realize later that what we added carried consequences we never meant to create? And if we are willing to be honest, are there places where the decision was not confusion or limitation, but choice? Moments where we told ourselves it made sense, that it was small, that it would remain unseen? Gehazi's story is not distant from us. It meets us in those very places to help us see clearly the difference between what is beyond our control, what comes from our limitation, and what flows from the choices of our own heart. If you are willing, share your reflections or questions in the comments so we can learn and walk this journey together.